The call of the Hogs can be heard all the way to San Francisco.
You're listening to Pod at the Palace with Curtis Wilkerson on Inside Arkansas.
Good morning, everybody. Happy Wednesday and welcome back to the Pod at the Palace. I'm your host, Curtis Wilkerson with Inside Arkansas, coming back to you for this hump day episode of the show. For those of you watching on YouTube, what do you think about the new look? John freshened us up a little bit. You know, the season's coming around. We needed a little bit of a facelift here with the graphic. I think it looks pretty cool. I embrace change if it's good change. I think this is a good one. Let me know what you guys think. And while you're there, subscribe to the YouTube channel. We got a lot going on. Yeah, it's not just about football around here. Basketball season's getting started. What are you talking about? We got plenty of coverage coming your way. We're 2 days away from Primetime at the Palace. 2 days. I'm pumped up about it. I'm tired of waiting. So I'm going to talk about a little bit more of, what it's going to look like, what I'm looking forward to seeing the most when we get out there. What can we learn about the team from an event like this? We've got some arena rankings that we're going to get into. Oh boy. We've got some SEC championship betting odds that we're going to scrutinize. I think it's going to be a pretty lively morning. I'm not going to lie to you. I'm looking forward to it. A quick reminder, though, before we get started about something that we got coming up on Friday. The Pod at the Palace will be live previewing Primetime at the Palace from Goat Lab Red at Oak Plaza on North Garland in Fayetteville at 6 p.m. on Friday, leading up to the event over at Bud Walton Arena. It's going to be a lot of fun. We're looking forward to it. Can't wait to get out there. And folks, come hang out and talk ball with us for a little while. We're going to go live for about an hour, and then we're going to head over to the arena. We'll do some pregame shows during the season and everything like that are a little bit more depth and lively. This is just fun. It's like a celebration. It's like the unofficial start to the basketball season because we finally get to see these dudes out there in action. It's also John's birthday for those who care about that kind of thing. But we're really excited about it. Come hang out with us, sip on a nice cold Razorback, a Tusk White. They got all their signature brews down there. But here's the kicker. You can take advantage of 25-cent. Yes, that's right. A quarter per wing when you're out there while we're out there. Sounds like a pretty good deal to me. Sounds like a cheap date. If I was in your situation, and I don't know what your situation is, but I would be finding a date and taking them out for those 25-cent wings and then going out to Primetime at the Palace. I guarantee you, if you do that, you get a second date. How do you turn that down? 25-cent wings and basketball. It's a beautiful thing. Come hang out with us. It's going to be a good time. We're looking forward to it for sure. By the way, we're going to hear from John Calipari today here on Wednesday at 2 p.m. And it's kind of an interesting deal. It's at the practice facility. It's just a media scrum, but we don't get to watch practice. We just get to talk to Cal before practice starts, and they're kicking everybody out of there. So there's that aspect of it. But he's going to preview Friday's festivities and the scrimmage in Hot Springs next weekend and, the first few days of official practices and everything like that. So we're going to have a lot of information from that interview with Coach Cal for tomorrow's show. So be on the lookout for that. But for today, let's just talk a little bit more about Primetime at the Palace here. Like, first of all, let me pull up Cal's tweet because he tweeted about it today, and you guys can check that out while we talk about some things. Voila, there you go. He says, get your first look at this year's team Friday, October 3rd at 8 p.m. The first 5,000 fans will get a Primetime at the Palace t-shirt. I want one of those. 2 lucky students will receive free tuition for a semester. Okay. Does that come out of his paycheck, you think? Maybe. It's a drop in the bucket for that man. And 3 lucky students will get an opportunity for a half-court shot for $20,000. If 3 of you get a half-court shot and nobody makes it, I'm going to be very disappointed in our listening audience. Be better. Get out there and practice now. Join us for an arena laser show. Cool. I like it. A dunk contest. Oh, I can't wait for that one. And then a scrimmage. Let's make this an annual can't miss event that is on everyone's calendar. Going to be a lot of fun. It really is. I love things like this. It's a little bit different than maybe what we're used to with, the traditional red-white games in the past. I know they did them at Barnhill for a few years there under Eric Musselman, which I thought was cool. It's a nice touch. But we're going to get introduced to both the men's and women's teams while we're out there. And I'm looking forward to the start of the Kelsey Music era too, for sure. From the sounds of it, they're going to play a pretty exciting brand of basketball. A lot of offense, pace, a lot of threes. Make it fun. And so I'm looking forward to that. It's going to take a little while, I think, to build that program, but I bet they're going to be more entertaining and more competitive than they were last year right away. So that's cool. The laser show, we'll see what that looks like, but I'm excited about it. But what can you learn from an event like this? Because it's very clearly geared towards entertainment for the fans and families, right? That's why they're doing all the other little things there. But for starters, and listen, we try to do this with the exhibition games, by the way, of distinguishing what we can really take away from something and, but being careful not to make any big picture conclusions. We learned the hard way with that Purdue exhibition a couple years ago. And, we thought, damn, Arkansas, they're a Final Four lock, man. They didn't even make the tournament. So I get it. And then this is just kind of a glorified, exhibition type of deal with an inner squad. So it's a little bit different, but first impressions matter, right? I've already got my first impression of most of these guys because we got to go out there and check out a practice, but it hits a little bit different when you're in Bud Walton Arena, under the lights, in uniform, and you got thousands of people in there watching you. So it's really the first impressions for this team to the fan base. And that's really, really important. Like, you get to start familiarizing yourself and connecting with these players. And we learned how important that was last year because you didn't get to do it. Remember, they didn't do anything in Fayetteville. They went to Pine Bluff. Awesome. They went to Hot Springs. That's great. But the first time this fan base got to see these guys was that Kansas exhibition. This is a little bit more of an intimate setting. So I think it's really cool. You get to see how big and athletic they are with the dunk contest, which can't wait for that. But yeah, again, like it's the first time to put those jerseys on, wear the Razorback. You're in Bud Walton, and we get to see this team get up and down in a 5-on-5 scrimmage. We didn't get that in the practice we went to. They did some 4-on-4 stuff. Like they did some full court things, but they didn't go live full on scrimmage. Now, this isn't going to be, I don't think, a full on game. Like the red-white game, they would do 4 10-minute quarters, maybe some running clock or whatever to simulate it. So I don't think they're going to do that from the sounds of it. You aren't playing another opponent, so that, it's whatever, but it's going to be a lot more in depth and a lot more realistic or game-like than it was for the tip-off tour last year, based on what I understand. I asked someone on staff what the plan was for the scrimmage portion of the night, and I was told that they haven't made a final decision, like they haven't hammered down the exact format, but that they plan on playing at least the equivalent of a half of basketball. So that's awesome. You take that in a situation like this. So it should be cool. I'm just happy that they have the bodies to do so without the graduate assistants, and God bless them, but having to mix it up the entire time like last year at the tip-off tour. Because that was rough, man. I'm not going to lie. And so there were parts of it that I thought were really cool because it was some individual breakdown drills and, some 1-on-0 stuff and some shell drill. And it kind of took me back to my days as a coach, some of the breakdown things that you do, but to kids and families who thought they were going to come in there and see them getting up and down, you were kind of like, what am I watching? Like, what is going on here? Well, the problem was they only had 9 players. And half of the guys they had on the end of the bench roster players were hurt, and Jonas was hurt while we were there. Nelly had a cast on his hand. Adu had a hamstring, so he wasn't really doing anything. They had like 6 guys who were full go, so it was crazy. This is a little bit different. They have more bodies to be able to get up and down and be a little bit more competitive and lively. So for that, I'm excited. Now, remember, this is an exhibition by nature. It's designed to drum up your interest and create some excitement. Don't be surprised if this looks like an NBA All-Star game out there at times. You want that, okay? That's my way of saying, please, I'm begging you guys, do not leave Primetime at the Palace on Friday and hop on our live reaction show with me trying to raise concerns about the defense. Please don't do that. This is not about defense. This is about dunks and threes and a lot of fun. I'm not going to walk out of there with any big picture takeaways other than excitement for the season to get going. But there are a few different things, I'm not going to lie, that I'm going to be watching for. Because again, it's first impressions. This kind of sets the tone for what we're looking for in Hot Springs. And then, okay, now we've seen them a couple times against each other. What's this going to look like at home against Cincinnati? And then what adjustments they make, how much do they grow in 3 days before they play Memphis? And you have a week until your first game. So it's a building process here. But the first thing I'm looking for is, how is the chemistry coming along on the floor? And, this isn't surprising in the preseason for anyone, but, I've been told that this group really seems to get along off the floor, and they've been connected at practice in terms of setting a tone of intensity and hard work. Like, there's a lot of buy-in and a lot of self-accountability throughout that roster right now. That's exactly what you want to hear. Does that continue if things get dicey or you get hit with a little bit of adversity? We'll see. You never know until you know, but it's got to start somewhere, right? But I do remember being at the tip-off tour last year, watching these guys struggle to run their 5-on-0 motion sometimes. Cal having to stop them and be like, what are we doing? Where are you going? Why aren't you here? It's too slow. What are we doing? And I was thinking, dang, man, like they really haven't been able to practice much live stuff at all. Like Cal's not lying to us. And then, of course, they look great in the exhibition against Kansas a couple weeks later, so they figured it out. But offensive flow and continuity and identity, that was a major issue early in the year for Arkansas last year. So hopefully our first impression is like, oh, yeah, they look pretty smooth. Maybe not a well-oiled machine, but they know where they're going out there. They got a little bit of direction. That's what you would expect because you have more returning continuity and you have more depth to where even if a couple guys are sitting out on a given day, you can still practice and go 5-on-5 and get up and down. You've had a full summer together instead of trying to piece this new roster together and figure out your way to the cafeteria like Cal was doing last year. I'm anxious to see what type of rhythm that the guys have playing together out there in this setting in front of some fans for the first time. And if it's a little bit shaky, no big deal. Sometimes a guy is going to zig when you expect him to zag and you throw the ball to nobody, throw it out of bounds. That's going to happen until you get some games under your belt. But, if they're out there and they're running some set plays or, drawing up some open looks, connecting on some lobs to get the crowd going early on, that can only be taken as a good sign. So sure, that's going to be something I'm looking forward to. Another thing I'm going to be watching, make some threes. I'm not a greedy man. I don't ask for too much. Make some threes. Okay. It's been a decade and that's only a slight exaggeration actually, but there was nothing worse for me than sitting at Barnhill Arena, watching an Eric Musselman coach team combine to go 5 for 41 from 3 in a red-white game with the air let out of the balloon in that building and Muss screaming at everybody. And then we have a press conference afterwards and you would think they just lost in the Sweet 16. Just make the open ones, man. That's all I ask. Give us a Trevin 3. That'd be cool. Hey, Malik Thomas, you're going to be one of the snipers. Knock one at Carter, hit one for us. And then something cool, I think we would all love to see DJ or Acuff knock down a 3, but how about a Malik Ewan 3? Oh, so the big man can stretch the floor. I like that. Isaiah Sealy, the hometown hero, Springdale kid, knock down a couple. Let's make some. I'm not asking you to be the Golden State Warriors. We don't need the Splash Bros out there. It doesn't have to be 40 attempts per game. But if you're going to take 25 of them, can you just make 35% of them this year? Let's set the tone early. Make some threes in Bud Walton Arena. I would love the overreaction from this to be, hey, man, listen, shooting's not going to be a concern for these guys. Please, I'm begging you. I'm anxious for you guys to see Trevin Brazil. I feel like I've talked about him so much and his improvements. I'm gassing him up, and I promise I'm not gaslighting you. But I would love it if he walks out there and showcases some of the things that I saw him do for your eyes. Putting it on the floor, attacking guys off the dribble, no hesitation in the jumper, getting physical, setting big screens, fighting with guys in the paint. He looks like a different person, and I hope that carries over right away for you guys to see. The sooner you start believing, the better. Hey, I mean, obviously the new guys like Malik Ewan and Nick Pringle, right? These two big fellas are much, much different than your front court guys from last season. Malik Ewan more skilled offensively than any of the guys you had last year, and Nick Pringle just a different animal on the defensive end. Physical, tough, hard-nosed, versatile, athletic. I think they're going to be a lot of fun to watch. And they're two very different players. They complement each other very well. I can't wait to see them go at it. So it's going to be fun for everybody to get a look at them. The freshmen, of course. I'm excited to see how Isaiah Sealy's progressed since we talked about him in July and saw him in that practice. Has he taken the advice or the challenges of getting comfortable being uncomfortable that Coach Cal has thrown at him? What strides has he made in the weight room? We'll see. But I mean, Darius Acuff and Malik Thomas they're so important to Arkansas's success this season. Do you guys remember how you felt about Boogie Fland after that Kansas exhibition when he just worked over DeJuan Harris? I do. Well, let me tell you this. Wait until you get a look at Darius Acuff, folks. This dude is quite literally built different. And I'm also really crossing my fingers that Malik Thomas gets on one of his scoring heaters Friday night, like he did at the practice we were at in the summer. Like this is the perfect type of setting for him to heat check some folks and make some wow plays that really gets the crowd going. If I had to predict anybody that pops and has some of those moments to where people are walking out of Bud going, oh, dude, hey, this guy, he's the real deal. I could see it being Leak. He's going to be up and down at times this season. He's a freshman. He's going to have his great moments, down moments. The sooner it clicks for him, the consistency front of it, the better. But he's got some electric capabilities to his game that, again, I can't wait for you guys to see it. Personally, for me, I'm most excited to see the new guys that we didn't get to see in the summer. Like, even if he's redshirting this year, which I'm sure Cal will talk to us about today. But Palacimedo, I mean, he's essentially a 7'1" guard with the way that he plays. And I imagine he'll be in the dunk contest. You guys can see his athleticism up close and in person. I can't wait to see him mixing it up with TB and the other forwards in the scrimmage. Like, it's going to be fun. I imagine you'll be able to walk out of Bud Walton Arena Friday night seeing the vision for the future with a guy like Paolo, and why I'm so bullish on his upside, which I think is NBA. And then, like, where does Elmer fit in? Elmer's Affish, because as far as I can tell, especially if Kareem Rattel is going to be out for a while, and if Paolo's redshirting, Elmer's he's your de facto 10th guy. And you got your core 8, you got Sealy, and then you got Elmer. And Amir Brown and Carletwa and all those guys too. But now Elmer is not on the level skill-wise as the other guys here in the front court. He's not. But he is older. He has been playing professionally for a number of years, and he's an absolute stallion. I mean, look at the guy. So he has to keep working to get in shape. He has to catch up athletically. All those things are true. But how does his size and power impact things against your rotation guys? What does that look like? Because how he's faring against them, like if he's just completely overmatched and overwhelmed, and maybe he is, then that's one thing. But if he's holding his own, if there are certain things that he can do, if there's certain areas in which he thrives, like, could we possibly leave there thinking, I'm interested to see him again in Hot Springs, or man, I hope he gets a little bit of run against Cincinnati and Memphis, because I don't know, a couple minutes here or there, set a few big screens, box somebody out and grab a rebound. You got 5 fouls to give. Maybe we feel that way, or maybe we're like, oh, putty, like break glass in case of emergency only type of situation. Who knows? I didn't expect to talk about this for 18 minutes. We're going to be talking about it for the next 3 days, but I'm excited. In case you couldn't tell, I cannot wait to see these guys out there in person, and it's going to be an absolute blast. It truly is. Hey, the Pot at the Palace is presented by our friends at Walter Christmas Lighting of Arkansas. You guys know the drill. We've talked about it so much. They've already come out here and hooked me up with my Halloween lights. They do such a great job. The customer service is awesome. They essentially take all of your feedback and then they put the vision into fruition. All right. So I told them the colors that I wanted and what I thought would be cool. And they drew me up a prototype and they sent it to me. They said, what about this? We'll come out here this week and we'll get it done. And they did. They take care of all the materials, any color, any pattern you can imagine up. They'll give it a shot. They install the lights for you. Obviously free maintenance throughout the holidays. They already took care of a burned out bulb for me. And the takedowns happen in January. They come out there and do it for you. It's completely hassle-free, and it gives you the opportunity to deck out your house for the holidays when you might not have the time or the resources to do it yourself. And that's the situation a lot of us fall into. If you sign up for Halloween lights, you get your Christmas lights for 50% off. By the way, that is a good deal. Text our guy Brett today for a free estimate at 479-459-1380. It's Walter Christmas Lighting of Arkansas, your local holiday lighting experts. Oh, man. You guys ever get tired of just juggling insurance companies to find the right coverage? And it feels like once you think you figured it out, and then they're changing rates on you all the time. And you got to really be on top of that stuff. At OZK Insurance and Rogers, they really make insurance simple again. That's all you can really ask for. It's a 100% independent agency, and they shop the entire marketplace to deliver the best combination of cost and coverage, saving you both time and money. Whether it's home, auto, boat, motorcycle, life, or commercial insurance, their friendly team has access to a wide range of flexible options designed just for you. Serving Northwest and Central Arkansas, let OZK Insurance be the trusted advisor you never knew you needed. They've got over 600 5-star Google reviews. So start today with a free online quote at ozkinsurance.com or call them at 479-715-4200. It's OZK Insurance, protection made simple. Okay. So moving on to a couple other things, having some fun here. I think we'll have a lot more recruiting talk for tomorrow's show as well, but I want to have a little bit of fun today with some of these things. We have reached peak list season. And I love list season. I particularly love Andy Katz's list. He comes out with a different one every day around this time of year. And it gives us an easy and fun segment, a lot of debate pretty much on the daily basis. So it's pretty cool. So Andy Katz dropped his top 10 most vaunted arenas list. Let me pull it up. That way you can see it while we talk about it. There it is. The top 10 vaunted, or what a word, vaunted. The most vaunted arenas. And Arkansas made the cut. But let's talk about this for a minute. Starting at 10th, United Supermarkets Arena. That's Texas Tech. And I've seen some of the atmospheres at Texas Tech on television. I've never been there. It looks pretty sick. I'm not going to lie. It looks like a hell of a place to take in a game. The McKell Center, Arizona, agreed. The Pit, number 8, New Mexico, one that I've always heard a lot about. Breslin Center, Michigan State, number 7. Arkansas goes there the first weekend of the season. The I-Zone. Let's get weird. You want to test your team early? You want to learn about them? Send them there. That's going to be a blast. Bud Walton Arena at number 6. And a couple years ago, if I'd have seen that, I'd have been like, bro, I mean, listen, you're disrespecting our home turf here. But I'm just glad they're on this list right now, if I'm being honest with you. Reason being, the last couple years hasn't been as good at home as you would like to see. And, Eric Musselman's last season, they lost a ton of games at home. They were getting their cheeks clapped a couple times by, Auburn and Tennessee, and they lost at home to UNC Greensboro. And then last year, Cal's first year, some good teams that they faced, but who all got them at home? Ole Miss got them. Florida got them. Bama got them. Was that it? Might have been it. There might have been one more mixed in there. But this is a place for the longest where Arkansas is a threat to go undefeated in Bud Walton Arena every year. And the league has gotten better. I understand that. But I'm ready for Arkansas to get back to that. That old cliche of you better be 10 points better than the Hogs in Bud Walton or you're not getting out of there with a win. That needs to be a thing again. And I think that they have the team to do it. And I'm hoping that with this awesome schedule and with all the hype around the team, that they're going to have the crowds, they're going to have that place rocking to a point where they can do it again. And I'm anxious to see what it looks like with the reseeding and all that. I don't know, but the potential of Bud Walton Arena, they're at number 6 here. That's shown a lot of respect. It's got top 3 potential. And I hope when we run this back next year that they've made it back to that point. Hilton Coliseum, people look at that and they say, oh, Iowa State, what the heck? That place is thumping, man, for games. So I think it's fair to include them on this list. Is Madison Square Garden at number 4 cheating with St. John's? Like, it's not their on-campus arena. It's not even their own arena. Now, they play a lot of their games there. That almost feels not fair to me. So I don't know about that one. Mackey Arena, never been. Heard it's awesome. And then obviously number 2 and number 1. I don't take any issue with that. Cameron Indoor Stadium at 2, and then Allen Fieldhouse at 1. Sure. But you know what I notice here? Arkansas is the only SEC school on this list. The only SEC school on this list. Thompson Bowling Arena, not in there. Rupp Arena, not in there. What's some other rowdy? Neville, Auburn, not in there. Are you guys surprised by that? I might be a little bit, actually. So here's what we'll do. Instead of saying, oh, yeah, well, Arkansas, Bud Walton Arena, it's the number 6 most vaunted arena in the country. We can just say it is the most vaunted home arena in the SEC. There we go. That sounds a lot better to me. I don't know how you guys feel about that, but I like that a little bit better. Okay, we also have some freshly dropped and updated SEC championship odds that I want to pull up here. Betting odds. So this is interesting to me. Florida's your betting favorite right there at plus 240. And that makes sense, right? I mean, why wouldn't they be? They're the defending national champions. They return their entire front court. They got some highly touted transfers, which includes Boogie Flan in the backcourt. It makes sense for them to be the odds-on favorite, if you will. Kentucky up there next, at plus 360. Listen, say what you want about Kentucky. My opinion on that team is that they're very, very good and they have a ton of potential. They've got Final Four potential. Okay. I wish I could say otherwise. Trust me. You guys know that I wish I could say otherwise, but I see a whole lot of good players and they need a good handful of them to be better than they've ever been in order for that team to be great. And maybe they will, maybe they won't. But at the end of the day, if you are a blue blood like Kentucky and you have the most expensive roster in college basketball, which we're told that they do, then you should be one of the betting favorites to win your league. But then there's Arkansas with the third best odds at plus 500. And I'll bet that. I absolutely will. You got the most returning production coming back in the SEC. And this is off a team that went to the Sweet 16, like 4 big contributors off of that. You got 2 power conference starting centers that you brought in out of the portal, a pair of McDonald's All-Americans. Like there's a lot of reasons to like Arkansas. I'm kind of surprised by Alabama at plus 700. The reason being, Latrell Wrightsell is still not cleared after, I can't remember if he had an ACL or an Achilles or what it was, but a season-ending injury last year. He's still not back from that. And Bethea, the transfer guard from Miami that they're really excited about that they got, he got hurt and he's going to miss some time. Now, neither one of them are going to miss the whole season, but they're going to be out for a while. So I'm surprised that hasn't impacted those odds a little bit more maybe than they have. Tennessee, I could see that with them being up there. Word on the streets in Knoxville is that Nate Amend's looking really good there. They've got Jacoby Gillespie. They've got some players. I'm not buying them as necessarily a threat like they have been in the past to win the league outright, but they're going to be a lock NCAA tournament team, and they're going to be in the top half of the league, no doubt about that. And then the bottom falls out. So Tennessee, if my eyes don't deceive me here, at plus 850, and they've got the 5th best odds, and then it drops all the way down to Auburn at number 6 at plus 1900. I want to know what those odds were before Bruce Pearl quit and retired and handed it over to his son, because I have a feeling they might have even been higher than Tennessee before that happened. And to my knowledge, none of the guys over there have transferred, but it's one of the best coaches in the country retiring right before the season and being replaced by, and I'm not trying to take anything away from him, but somebody who has never had any experience in that chair. And he's done a lot of things to contribute to Auburn's success, don't get me wrong, but it hits different when you're in charge. So I think that tanked their odds a little bit. Mississippi State 7th at plus 2,200. Missouri, Ole Miss, Texas A&M, Oklahoma. You see it as it continues to go on down there. But yeah, I mean, you've got 5 teams who have reasonable odds there and then a big drop off. Well, what is that going to look like this season in the SEC? You had 14 teams that made the NCAA tournament last year, and I think you could make a case for 14 to do it again. 13. I'm not seeing it with South Carolina. It's cool that they have Michi Johnson back. I'm not seeing it with LSU. I don't think they have enough firepower in their backcourt. Front court's decent. I'm not seeing it with Georgia this year. Everybody else, I think, has a pretty reasonable case for making the tournament. But is it going to be the situation again? Like, let's say you have these top 5 teams and they're all kind of in that mix for a top 5 seed or a top 4 seed in the tournament. And then if you remember last year, it seems like there was an SEC team in every 8-9 game. And there's, 10 seeds, 11 seeds. Texas was in Dayton, in the first 4. Is it going to be something like that again? Probably so. Because, like, some teams have to lose. Like, I mean, that's the thing of this. At the end of the year, I don't know if you guys knew this or not, but the SEC is going to go 500 playing against each other. I know that sounds crazy for one of these juggernaut conferences like this, but that's how it works. And it's like if somebody goes 18-0, somebody's going to go 0-18. Not really how it works, but it all does balance out in the end. So if they think there's an established pecking order with that top 5, then you might have a bunch of those teams. Remember Arkansas, what were they, 8-10 in the league, but they finished right in the middle of the pack, and then they wind up getting a 10 seed in the tournament. Might be a situation where you see something like that again. We'll see. Cool. I think in the next shoot, it might happen tomorrow, but probably in the next week or so, KenPom will release their, first set of rankings, and that'll be interesting to look at. We've already kind of looked at Torvik's and all that. Last year, Arkansas debuted at 25th at KenPom, and I wonder where they're going to wind up this year. They got a little bit more continuity, so they might be higher. I'm trying to remember where they finished. Let me pull it up real quick. 36th is where Arkansas finished at KenPom last year. And one of the things we noticed with Torvik, which is a very similar type of algorithm there, is that they were a lot more bullish on Arkansas going into this year. I think because of the continuity, like you just have some better data points that you can measure, and way higher on Arkansas offensively than they have been. So that'll be cool to see. The better starting, people think like, who cares about that? But the better starting point you have with all these metrics that matter, because like they're part of the selection criteria for, they're the metrics that are listed on the team sheets and everything like that for the selection committee. So that stuff matters where you debut. But at any rate, going to get out of here for the day. Appreciate you guys for tuning in. As always, we'll get back to some recruiting chatter tomorrow. And like I said, we should have some decent information from Coach Cal to share with you guys as well. But make sure you get subscribed, or you need to get subscribed wherever you listen to your podcast. The Pod at the Palace can be found there as well. Apple, Spotify, Amazon, anywhere that you listen. And we'll be back here bright and early tomorrow morning. Everybody have a good day. It's been Curtis Wilkerson with Inside Arkansas. We'll catch you in the morning.